up with this. Brings back so many memories. So catchy. Oh man.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the African Comic Guy, and today we're actually just going to have an update on what's going on with Marvel. Marvel finally told us that they have a cast for the Fantastic Four that's coming out. I think it's May the 2nd of next year, if I'm not wrong, and it's going to be an incredible movie because number one, Marvel's really trying to, kind of like the DCU. Marvel is really trying to go in a different direction because obviously recently they've been reeling. I mean, you can say the same for DC. A lot of the projects that they've actually put out have really bombed out. So I think they're really trying to go in a different direction, and I think that's why it took them a while to come up with the cast of the Fantastic Four. Because we've been very fortunate to have a couple movies that came out in the early 2000s, and we got to see the Fantastic Four finally in the movie theaters, and those movies were actually pretty good. You talk to anybody that saw those movies, they're actual fans. It's funny, we always talked about why we never had the third movie to make it a trilogy, but that's neither here or there. But now they've actually been able to come down on 4 actors. Now, for starters, this movie will actually be directed by Matt Shakman. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but he's a wonderful director who gave us WandaVision. Now, for those of you who've watched WandaVision, you loved WandaVision because this was an interesting direction for Marvel. It gave us really dark Wanda, and it was fun to see them going in that direction, and I think it made that show pretty fun and pretty interesting, and I think very engaging, and I think that's why people loved it. So he's actually going to be directing this movie, and I'm excited. So, as you see here, these are the actors that have been cast to play in the Fantastic Four. Now, for Reed Richards, or Mr. Fantastic, you have Pedro Pascal. I love that actor because I've seen him in Game of Thrones. I also saw him in Wonder Woman 1984. I liked the cast. I didn't like the villain that he played. Now he played it well, but I didn't like him for that villain, and if you've watched Wonder Woman 1984, you know exactly what I mean. But he's a pretty good actor. He's been in a bunch of movies, and I love the fact that they're casting him. He's a seasoned actor, very mature, and it kind of tells you that we're going to have a very mature, very seasoned Reed Richards, right? Mr. Fantastic, which is fun. For Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby. Now, you've seen her in The Crown. You've also seen her in Hobbs vs. Shaw. It was a really cool movie. I loved that movie. I mean, it was an interesting take on her. But she's also been in Mission Impossible, and I think she's going to be in the next one too. So she's a seasoned actress in her own right, and she also does resemble Sue Storm, right? She does look like Sue Storm. So it's going to be interesting to see what she also brings to the table. But I'm excited. I'm excited for that cast. We also have Jason Quinn. Now, a lot of you are familiar with him because he's been in Stranger Things. And Stranger Things is popular, globally popular. And he was also in Game of Thrones. So he will actually play the Human Torch. Now, the Human Torch, a lot of people love that character because a lot of people didn't like the previous movie where Michael B. Jordan played the Human Torch. Not because it's Michael B. Jordan. It's just because it didn't really fit. Certain times you see a character and an actor and they gel. A la Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, Superman, right? But nobody really saw Michael B. Jordan playing the Human Torch. I honestly would have been better if you played the Thing. I think he would have played better as the Thing. But it's Michael B. Jordan. You got to see him. But yeah, so that movie that came out a few years ago with a really young cast of the Fantastic Four bombed because number one, chemistry was awful. Nobody believed in them. Nobody saw this. Nobody believed in the cast. That movie was an atrocious adaptation of the Fantastic Four. I don't know how the hell they got through production. But again, it bombed because again nobody could believe these guys were the Fantastic Four. There was no chemistry, but I think having Jason Quinn play the Human Torch, he does look like the Human Torch. Obviously, the illustration here, so he does look like the Human Torch. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays a Human Torch. And lastly, to play the Thing is none other than Ebon Moss. Now you've seen him in The Punisher. I loved him in The Punisher. I really did. I loved the back and forth. I loved going back and forth with The Punisher in that series that was on Netflix. It was awesome to see how he played against The Punisher, right? And we've also seen him in Game of Thrones as well. So I like the fact that these are actors that have range. Not only have they played in shows, TV shows, but they've actually been in movies and big movies or big projects, right? And it'd be interesting, a couple of them being in comic-based movies, obviously Pedro Pascal and Wonder Woman, and now Ebon Moss, who played in The Punisher. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bring this new adaptation of the Fantastic Four. As a fan of the Fantastic Four, I'm really excited about this news because I love the fact that the project is moving forward. Not only that, I love the fact that now we have a release date, May the 2nd of 2025. But at the same time, we have actors that we're familiar with and actors that have range, right? So we know that they're going to take this seriously. And with everything that Marvel has gone through the past few years, just putting out garbage, and I say that respectfully as a fan, I really believe that they wouldn't have agreed to take on these roles if they weren't willing to give it all. And for this director, Marvel is really putting a lot of faith into him to really come up with a really good product. They don't come up with something good. Now, again, they don't have to hit a home run. That's the craziest thing. It's not about coming up with a project that is perfect. You just have to keep fans engaged. Marvel has to go away from, I call it wokeism. If they really want to re-engage with fans, if they want the fans to come back and literally spend money, these movies, if you go back and watch the track record of Marvel for like the first 12 years from Iron Man to, I think, Wakanda Forever, a lot of these movies made $600-800 million or more, with some movies making over $1 billion, and then you go back to what we've had the last 2 years and you're like, you need to let the fans know that you actually do care about source material, because again, I've talked about this before. When you go against source material, when you're trying to do things because of what you feel like, when you're choosing writers and not choosing good writers, because they started off with amazing writers, and that's why we had the run with Marvel that we did. And then you decide to have writers who go against what we know as, especially comic fans, what we know is real, and you try to add your own beliefs and feelings and whatever, then you end up with the results you've had. So if this is an indication of where Marvel's going, it's a good indication, because starting off with a good cast, I can almost see that, especially with Reed Richards and Sue Storm, Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, you can almost feel like they're going to play off very well against each other. And it's going to be awesome to see. But anyway, that's just an update on what's going on in the Marvel universe. We're going to see where it goes from here. I'm excited to see the updates, and I'll update you guys moving forward whenever there's anything coming up with the Fantastic Four, any other Marvel movie. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. This is the African Comic Guy signing off. I'll see you guys later. Peace.